Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Live for the next half hour, join us as we provide you with all the scores, news, and updates to everything Franklin County sports. And now, here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Hope everything's going well here for you. Red Sox are on fire, looking good. Local sports is doing well. We have great teams that are making strides, getting ready for tournament, and we're glad to have you part of our show. Thank you so much to Franklin First Federal Credit Union. You know, if you are a resident of Franklin County, you can be a member at franklinfirst.org. Manny's TV and Appliance on River Street in Greenfield, also on Route 9 in Hadley. Yes, if you need any kind of repairs or if you need a washer, dryer, or any appliance, it's Manny's TV and Appliance. And by Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, our local audiologist, been around for just about 30 years at alberhearing.com. alberhearing.com. Well, a week ago Monday in girls soccer, Hannah Mackin ended up finding the back of the net twice in a 5-minute span, and all of a sudden Frontier and that girls soccer team picked up a 5-0 win over Pioneer. They had a solid game over at Herlihy Park in Whately. Michaela Santos, also Kylie LaFawn, they assisted on Mackin's goals, which broke a scoreless game after 30 minutes. Also, Anna Petrin, Caroline Crocker, and Jillian Warden all tallied in the second half. Katie Wells Robinson ended up stopping both shots that she faced in the win. Also, we want to let you know that Sarah LaRocque, also from Pioneer, she had 10 saves. Well, in girls field hockey a week ago Monday, it was Greenfield taking on Agawam. Final score was Greenfield 3, Agawam 1. And that all-important win came out at a time when they needed this time of the year. Greenfield picked up another key victory, and with that, they are now in a good spot because they have swept Agawam for the year. Leading 2-1 at halftime, Lily Kakelmeyer and Maddie Kacheski each had a goal for Greenfield. Also, Lucy Postera ended up getting the third goal, and that was late in the third period. Ainsley Flynn made 4 saves for Greenfield. Also, we want to let you know that on Tuesday in boys soccer, it was a little bit of a separation, but it turned out to be a very good game, and it was a great one between Frontier and East Hampton. That's right, these two are the two top teams in Division 4, and we could tell you that they ended up in a 2-2 draw a week ago Tuesday. Frontiers, Karen Bright ended up scoring the first goal. He did that from about 25 yards out at the 17th minute, giving Frontier that 1-0 advantage. And then, of course, all of a sudden comes back is East Hampton, and they tied it up at 1-1. Frontier also had an opportunity to score, and that's exactly what they did when Dante Riggiano buried a loose ball, and he ended up giving Frontier the 2-1 lead. Well, East Hampton came back just 2 minutes later, tied it up at 2-2, and that's where it ended. Well, the Hampton Charter School ended up beating Mohawk. That was in boys soccer last Tuesday. Final score was 3-0. Connor Herzik and Logan Brothers each made 5 saves in the loss for Mohawk. In girls soccer last Tuesday, it was Athol with a 6-0 win over the Franklin County Tech. Yep, the girls ended up getting beat once again, but Emily Merritt ended up with 6 saves in the loss. In field hockey a week ago Tuesday, it was Athol and Pioneer in a 0-0 defensive tie. By the way, Kelly Baird, she ended up with 2 saves for Pioneer. Franklin County Tech, well, their girls team ended up picking up a key win over Amherst. Final score was 3-0 last Tuesday. Franklin County Tech led at halftime before they had a chance to score a couple of more and make that a 3-0 win. By the way, we want to let you know that Lauren Ross and Hannah Gilbert each were able to score some runs, score some goals. Also, Lily Ross and Kate Trudeau, they notched assists to be able to help their team to victory. Well, Westfield ended up knocking off Turner's Falls, and that was in field hockey on Tuesday. David Stowe ended up with 25 saves in the net for Turner's Falls, but Westfield, one of the high-powered teams here in Western Mass, picked up that 7-0 win. East Long Meadow knocked off Mohawk 5-1. Cordell Kendall ended up with 11 saves for Mohawk in that loss. In boys cross country, we're going to run down some scores for you. Greenfield knocked off the PVCICS team 25-30. They beat Palmer 15-48, and they beat South Hadley 15-46. It was a clean sweep for the Greenfield boys cross country team over at Highland Park last Tuesday. And Ethan Bross, he ended up being the top finisher for Greenfield as he placed third. Other guys who were able to contribute included Eric Badillo and Andy Bostrom. Well, Frontier picked up a win over Pioneer 15-47 as Luke Howard ended up pacing Frontier. By the way, they had the first 6 finishers that ended up finishing for Frontier in that win. Yep, also at second place was Patrick Boyden, Eric Brown at number 3, Oliver Brown at number 4, Anne-Marie Maxey at number 5, and Evan Headland ended up being 6th for Frontier. By the way, Sam Bodenstein, he was a top 10 finisher. He ended up 7 overall for Pioneer. Maddox Weigel, he ended up being 8th, and Griffin DeRuiter ended up being 9th overall for Pioneer. Well, Mohawk picked up a 16-40 victory in cross country as Dennis Simmons sets the course record at East Hampton. This kid has had an amazing year. 3 other Mohawk runners followed behind him. That included Vincent Gauthier. He was second. Sean O'Day ended up being third, and Emmett Johnson ended up placing 4th. In girls cross country, it was Candace Liu who ended up being the girls' overall winner for Greenfield, but unfortunately, they didn't have enough runners to be able to qualify for a victory. The only other top 10 finisher for Greenfield was Ava Fortin, who joined her in the top 10, placing 4th. Well, Frontier, those girls ended up having a nice win over Pioneer, 18-45 in girls cross country. Abigail Howard edged teammate Leah Gump by 4 seconds for the individual victory as they ended up cruising in South Deerfield. Also, we want to let you know that Brianna May ended up taking 3rd overall, and teammate Allie Cleary cracked the top 10 at number 9 for Pioneer in the loss. Well, Mohawk, the girls team ended up beating East Hampton in cross country 20-47, and they beat Hopkins 20-42. Mohawk runner Ellie Pinkham ended up being first to cross over for Mohawk as she helped her team to victory. Also, Natalie Lanou, she was 3rd. Valerie Zombrowski ended up 4th. Sierra Upton at number 5, and Savannah Simmons was number 7 for Mohawk. Well, on Tuesday in golf, it was the Franklin County Tech School with an 18-6 win over Greenfield. The top 4 golfers for the Franklin County Tech all shot between a 41 and a 45 to pick up the win. That was over at Thomas Memorial Golf Club. Want you to know that Rob Wood led the way with a 41. He took all 4 points in his match. Gabe Mata ended up with a 43. Anthony Zager with a 44. Alex Sulda with a 45. They combined for 10 of the possible 12 points for the Tech School. Greenfield's Dylan Archer, well, he was the medalist. He's had a great year, and he wins at the number 1 spot with a 39. Matt Lavoine with a 47. Hugh Syhowski with a 49. Each got points for their team. Well, Mohawk picked up a 24 victory over Central. With that 20-4 victory, they cruised easily over at Edge Hill in Ashfield. That is their home place. And I must say that Gage Patnote had a 47. Logan Moore with a 49. Oliver Johnson a 52. Phineas Tupman a 53. Douglas Wilcox with a 55. And Austin Parker with a 58. All scored points for Mohawk in the win. South Hadley picked up an easy win over Frontier in boys golf. Final was 22-2. Well, Turner's Falls ended up edging out Hopkins in golf. It was 13-11, and Joey Mosca finished the match as the medalist. He ended up with a 39 to propel his team to victory. Also, we want you to know that Darian Barnett had a 48. Also, Braden Talbot, he ended up with a 50 as they were able to get points for their team. Grady Deary with a 54, and Reese Ewell, as well as Jackson Day, round out the lineup for Turner's Falls. Well, in girls volleyball, it was Turner's Falls with a 3-0 win over Athol as Maddie Lamatanian. She ended up with 8 kills and 9 aces to lead the way for her Thunder team. Emily Young, she ended up with 8 kills and 6 aces, while Olivia Stafford ended up with a kill and 2 aces for Turner's. Mohawk picked up a 3-0 victory over the Franklin County Tech. Ellie Patnode's 4 kills and 5 aces, coupled with Sophia Guy's 4 kills and 4 aces, helped Mohawk secure that victory. Octava Crawford, she ended up with 4 kills, 7 assists, and 3 aces. Also, Palmer King dished out 5 assists. She also put down 7 aces and 3 kills and a dig for Mohawk. Now for the Franklin County Tech, Maddie Jackson had an ace, a kill, and 4 digs in the loss, as well as Faye Smith with 3 aces, 2 kills, and 2 blocks. And Dee Dee Guerin ended up with 6 digs for the Tech School. Pioneer picked up a win in volleyball over Marhar. Final was 3-0. Elena Rediker, she blocked 3 balls, smacked 7 aces, and a kill to give her team a very nice win that they were looking for this year. Also, Aiden Wall ended up with 4 digs and an ace. Also, Jane Potee, she ended up with 4 aces and 1 dig. Olivia Hammond ended up with 4 aces and 3 digs. And Natalie Rowan, she ended up with 7 digs to help Pioneer in the victory. Well, it was Wacona with a 3-1 victory in volleyball over Greenfield. But Kelsey Richardson ended up with a great day. She ended up with 10 kills to go along with 7 digs and 2 aces as Greenfield took it hard, unfortunately, to this Wacona team. Charisma Santana, well, she finished up with 9 kills and 4 aces for Greenfield as she was able to be a key contributor. Also, Jenna Keith made 9 digs to go along with 3 aces in the loss for the Green Wave. Well, we slide to Wednesday. Wednesday in field hockey, it was South Hadley picking up a 2-1 victory over Frontier. Yep, it was really a tale of 2 halves in this showdown, where it started off to be a dominating first half by South Hadley as they held Frontier scoreless in that first half, and they were up 2-0. But Frontier ended up switching it up in the second half, played a lot better. Matter of fact, they played very well, and they did score 1 goal, but it wasn't enough. That was the lone goal that was scored by Rebecca Wallace West. And we can tell you that South Hadley right now is the #1 team in the Division IV power rankings, while Frontier is number 3. This ought to be a good one in playoff time. Well, Marhar picked up a victory over the Franklin County Tech, and let me tell you, it ended up being their first victory of the year. Having a couple of players out with injuries really showed on what happened to the Franklin County Tech girls. And I'll tell you, it really hurt their team because this was a victory that took them out of the unbeating rankings. That's right. Now, this team is 9-1-4. And that was because of the loss to Marhar. By the way, it was Marhar's first victory of the year. Once again, 1-0 over the Franklin County Tech girls in field hockey. In boys soccer, Greenfield with an easy win over South Hadley? No, it was Greenfield with an 8-6 win over Athol. That's right, trailing 4-2 at halftime to Athol. The Greenfield boys, boy, they ended up coming out strong in that second half. Henry Zakara, he scored 3 times in the second half. He also was able to score a couple of other times. He ended up with 5 goals on the day for Greenfield. 5 out of the 8 were all because of Henry Zakara. Hey, by the way, there were other guys who stepped in too. Matter of fact, Jackson Campbell, he ended up stepping in. Jason Smith, Campbell ended up with 4 assists for Greenfield in that win. Daniel Penichetti, he ended up with 8 saves for the Wave in the win. Well, it was the Franklin County Tech with a 5-3 win over Ware. Down 2-1 at halftime, Franklin County Tech found their groove in the second half. They scored 4 goals, and that was a big moment for them as they were able to come all the way back to be able to win 5-3. And by the way, David Klempner continues his great season. Sam Latour, he's been pretty solid too. He ended up having a nice day for his team. Braden McCord, he put home a penalty shot at the 54th minute for the Tech School. Also, Alex Davidson Carroll. Colin Adams, he ended up with 2 assists. And Preston Duvall ended up with an assist as well in the win for the Tech School. In girls soccer on Wednesday, it was Pioneer with a 4-1 win over Taconic. Tied 1-1 at half, Haley Ring, she ended up with a pair of goals to propel Pioneer to that 4-1 win in Northfield. Ring, who finished with a hat trick, ended up having a solid day. Also, Layla Hillman, she ended up having a goal. That was at the 52nd minute, off an assist from Danny Tilsa. Also, we want you to know that Ring tallied a goal at the 65th and 78th minute to put this game away. And Sarah LaRock, she ended up with 3 saves in the net for Pioneer. Girls volleyball, it ended up being a nice win for Frontier last Wednesday. I went to that. It was Frontier versus Turners Falls. And I got to tell you, it was a dominating game by Frontier, who picked up that 3-0 win. Well, let me tell you, the Thunder ended up really getting into a position where they were hoping if they could knock off this Frontier team, they could continue their 12-game winning streak. But it came to an end. By the way, Frontier is the number 3 team in the latest MIAA Division 5 power rankings, and Turner's going in was at number 5. So you're talking a 3 versus 5 in the best of the area. Jillian Apanel, she was the problem for this Frontier team. She was solid with 18 kills. She also had 3 aces. Sydney Scanlon, she ended up with 27 assists. Also, Lila Evans ended up with 9 kills. Taylor Green, how about this? 11 assists and an ace in the loss for Turners Falls. Emily Young with 6 kills, an ace, and Maddie Lamatanian ended up with 8 kills for Turners in the loss. Mohawk picked up a 3-0 victory in volleyball over Athol. Octava Crawford ended up putting down 6 kills to help her team with the victory. She also had 6 assists and 6 aces. Palmer King with 5 kills, 9 assists, and 11 aces. And Sophia Guy ended up doing well in defense with 4 digs. In boys golf, it was Hampshire with an easy 22-2 win over Mohawk. I got to tell you, though, the only couple of guys who were able to get points for their team were Logan Moore and Douglas Wilcox. We slide to Thursday, where in girls field hockey, it was Turners Falls going to a 1-1 draw with Mohawk as Brooke Thayer, she came through with a very clutch goal for her team to give them the 1-0 lead. Well, it didn't stick, unfortunately, but it was a 1-1 draw. We could tell you that David Stowe made 5 saves for Turners Falls. Cordell Kendall made 3 saves for the Warriors. It pretty much was a defensive game. Well, the Franklin County Tech girls, after getting beat, they came all the way back and they beat Athol 4-2. You know, it was really a second quarter to remember for the Franklin County Tech girls, Lauren Ross. Why? Because she scored 3 goals in the second half. And she was assisted by her sister, Lily Ross. Yep, 2 of those assists were from her, 1 from Caitlin Trudeau. Franklin County Tech picked up that 4-2 win. Kendra Campbell closed out the scoring for the Franklin County Tech in the third quarter with an assist from Hannah Gilbert to give Franklin County Tech the victory. Well, Pioneer picked up a 1-0 win over Amherst in girls field hockey. Riley Thayer, she ended up getting the goal that was assisted by Sophia Walker. Pioneer picking up that win against Amherst. In boys soccer, it was Frontier with a 4-2 win over Lennox as Tyler Dubriel found the back of the net twice for Frontier to give them that victory. Now we want you to know that Dubriel and also Cheney Son ended up scoring for Frontier in the first half before Dubriel and Dieter ended up scoring in the second half. Carm Bright, him and Dante Reggiano ended up with assists, and Dylan Martin had 2 saves for the Red Hawks in that victory. Hopkins Academy had an easy win in boys soccer over Pioneer. Final score was 8-2. They erupted for 6 goals that all happened in that first quarter. We want to let you know, though, that Sean Allen and Jason Quinn, they were the guys who were able to score for Pioneer. Well, we want to let you know that St. Mary's picked up a 5-0 victory over Mohawk. Logan Brothers made 9 saves, and Connor Herzik picked up 2 saves in the loss. In girls soccer on Thursday, it was Greenfield picking up a 2-1 victory over Athol. As Amina Sesajanin, she ended up scoring a second half goal to be the game winner as Greenfield walked away at Vets Field with that win. Emma Savoy, she scored the first half goal for Greenfield off an assist by Ava Widello. Now we want you to know that the goalie for Greenfield had a very good year this year. Michaela Valente ended up with 2 shots that she was able to stop for Greenfield in the win. St. Mary's picked up a 3-0 victory over the Franklin County Tech. Another solid outing by Emily Merritt. Unfortunately, she had 12 saves, but it wasn't enough as there was no offensive power for her Tech team. In girls volleyball, it was Turner's Falls with a 3-0 win over Mohawk as Taylor Green, she was the monster in the service station. Oh yeah, she ended up with 20 aces to go along with 15 assists to lead her team. Abby Holloway put down 5 kills. Maddie Lamatanian had 10 kills and 2 aces in the victory for Turner's Falls. Octava Crawford, well, she dished out 3 aces along with an ace. She also had a block and a kill from Mohawk. Also, Palmer King, she ended up with 3 kills, 2 assists, and Sophia Guy ended up with 6 digs in the loss. Well, Frontier picked up a 3-0 victory over Minnechaug in girls volleyball on Thursday. After coming off that big victory over Turner's Falls, there was no letdown as Jillian Apanel smacked 18 kills to lead her team. Also, Lila Evans, she ended up with 7 kills and 4 aces. Brooke Davis with 11 digs. Sydney Scanlon ended up with 30 assists in the victory for Frontier. Well, Athol picked up a 3-2 win in girls volleyball over Pioneer. For the second time this season, it's gone to 5 games. Well, this time it was won by Athol. Elena Rediker, she ended up with 9 aces, 4 kills and a block for Pioneer. Avery Johnson ended up with 4 aces and 3 kills. Also, Marina Duclos ended up with 4 aces, 7 assists and 2 kills. Natalie Rowan ended up with 7 digs and a kill in the loss for Pioneer. Well, Wacona picked up a 3-0 victory over Greenfield in girls volleyball, but Kelsey Richardson continues her great play for the Wave. She ended up with 7 kills, 6 aces, and 5 digs in that 3-0 loss. In boys golf on Thursday, it was Frontier with a 14-10 win over Munson. Well, I can tell you that each one of those Frontier golfers, they shot between a 42 and a 48 to be able to pick up the win. Ryan Seto, he ended up recording the team low with a 42. Also, Kevin Bauman with a 43. Cam Skiffington, he ended up with a 44. Also, Cade Allenby and Alex Kaczynski both shot 45s. Shane Prusak with a 48 in the victory for Frontier. We slide to Friday. That's right. And what is all about Friday? Friday is Friday Night Football, and it was Frontier taking on Commerce, where they ended up doubling up against their Red Raiders team. Final score was Frontier 40, Commerce 20. And Frontier's football team got that win that they really needed. They have had a really tough time this year, and they are now 1-5 on the year. Frontier scored on a 6-yard rushing touchdown, a 29-yard rushing touchdown, a 45-yard touchdown run from Josh Samaski. Frontier's defense also forced a safety that happened in the first half. Quarterback Sam Schreiber, well, he ended up with a 1-yard rushing touchdown, 2 more rushing touchdowns, plus a touchdown pass that he was able to get to Dan Damon. And by the way, Frontier, well, they got to keep that momentum up later this week when they take on Belchertown. Well, the Greenfield Green Wave, it was them versus the Franklin County Tech. Ended up being a nice crowd that happened over at good old Vets Field on Friday night. But it was 2 early turnovers that set Greenfield's offense up to be able to really put this game away early. Final score was Greenfield 34 and the Franklin County Tech 8. The Greenfield defense, they literally were on fire as they set the tone. How about 4 turnovers they were able to force from that Franklin County Tech offense? Greenfield scored on an 8-yard QB run from David Carey, 1-yard run by Carey, a 35-yard touchdown pass from Carey to senior wide receiver Brendan Driscoll. Also, Devin Buchanan, he intercepted a pass and took it 70 yards back to the house for a touchdown. Franklin County Tech, well, they did get their one drive. It ended up being a touchdown, a 15-yard touchdown run from junior back Ryan Demers. Greenfield will be traveling over to Mahar, a very important game for them because a week from Friday, they have a huge matchup with Ware High School with huge playoff implications. In girls soccer on Friday, Renaissance ended up beating Frontier. Final score was 1-0. And CC Green, she made 7 saves in the net for Frontier. Well, Mount Everett ended up picking up a victory over Pioneer 5-2. 5 saves by Sarah LaRock in the loss for Pioneer in girls soccer. Also in girls field hockey, Greenfield picked up a 4-0 win over Pioneer. Mackenzie Pollan put home a pair of goals as Greenfield ended up snagging that 4-0 win. Maddie Kacheski, Ivy Ray, they scored for Greenfield. All of a sudden, as of last Friday, Greenfield is now 8-5 on the season. Heather French assisted on 2 of the Greenfield goals. Pioneers goalie Kelly Baird, she had 15 saves, a solid game for Kelly. By the way, we want you to know that Pioneer did pick up a 1-0 victory over Amherst as Riley Fair ended up tallying a goal assisted by Sophia Walker back on Thursday. In boys soccer, Frontier and East Hampton, they ended up in a 0-0 tie. Sabas knocked off Greenfield. Sabas has a very good team this year as they won in boys soccer over Greenfield 9-1. Want you to know that Greenfield's Jason Smith got the only goal, and he was assisted by Sam Baccara. And the goalie, Daniel Panicetti, ended up with 13 saves for the Wave. As we wind it down here, we got girls volleyball. Franklin County Tech girls with a 3-0 win over Mahar. Maddie Broder, she ended up with 3 aces and 3 digs to help her team. Emily Ryan had 3 kills. Also, Haley Benoit, she ended up with 3 aces and a kill in the win. And Greenfield picked up a 3-0 win over Pioneer. Kelsey Richardson with 10 aces, 8 kills, and 6 digs. Also, Charisma Santana, she had 7 kills and 6 aces. Aisha Pruitt Gonzalez ended up with 10 assists and 6 aces. Rory Cronin, she ended up having 3 kills and 4 digs. Alexis Antonellis ended up with 3 kills and an ace, all in the win for Greenfield. Well, there you have it. That is what we got this week for the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Another big week of sports is coming up. We share it right here on Greenfield Community Television, the FCAT down in South Deerfield, Berniston Northfield Community Television, also Montague Community Television. We're very fortunate to be able to do it, and I want to say thank you one last time to our sponsors. And that is Franklin First Federal Credit Union. If you live in Franklin County, you can be a member at franklinfirst.org. Manny's TV and Appliance, they do have locations right on River Street in Greenfield and Route 9 in Hadley. The best in appliances at Manny's. And by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, online at alberthearing.com. So until we get ready to meet you again, which is next week, you have yourself a wonderful week, and thank you for supporting our local athletes. Go Red Sox!